Hello everyone and welcome back to Freedom Through Confidence. My name is Ben and in this video today we're going to be talking about how to become more emotionally strong as a man. Now obviously strength is one of those things that we as men value a lot, but typically speaking when we talk about strength we're more talking about physical strength or mental strength, but there's not too much talk around emotional strength, which I would argue is just as important as any other type of strength. In fact, I believe that it's entirely possible it might be the most important source of strength that a man can have. And what I'm not going to do with this video is make an argument that dudes should just be these stoic creatures who are always in 100% control of their emotions, because not only is that an unrealistic expectation to have on yourself, it can actually have devastating effects on people's mental health to be told that they just need to essentially deny their emotions and seek to take control over something that is inherently always out of our control. Because as I've said on this channel time and time again, we cannot control our emotions, we can only cope with them and learn how to deal with them in more effective ways. And that's what I'm talking about today when I talk about how to become emotionally strong, how to build emotional strength. So as I said, strength doesn't come from simply denying our emotions. We gain no benefit from just trying to push down or bottle up feelings like anger or love or sadness or grief. It does not give us any benefits to do that, and it can actually cause material harm. Now, think about anger, for example, because it's the easiest example for me to bring up. I spent a lot of my younger years just absolutely bottling up my anger, and what I never realized was that the anger wasn't going away, it was just manifesting itself in different ways. So in self-harm, for example, that was one of the ways that my anger, which was usually directed towards myself, was expressed in me. I didn't much like having to deal with sadness either, so I bottled that up, and that manifested itself in me starting to drink a lot when I was in university. And you start to see how just bottling up our emotions can lead to pretty bad circumstances. Now obviously that's quite anecdotal and I would love to have a study to present to you, but genuinely I'm just gonna fallaciously appeal to intuition here and say that do you really think that there would be such a big need for therapists and counselors if this was not the case? Because what are people typically going to a therapist or a counselor or a psychiatrist for? Emotional problems or behavioral problems which are caused by emotional issues. So despite whatever the top masculinity coaches are saying right now, stoicism and just bottling up your emotions and denying them is the complete opposite of building emotional strength. So let me draw a parallel to physical strength. Imagine your emotions as a muscle, as a very important muscle. Let's imagine that your emotions are just as important, just for a moment, as important as your biceps or your abs or your pecs, something like that. Do you think that any one of those muscles gets stronger if you just deny that it's there? Am I going to get big tree trunk width biceps if I just skip arm day all the time? Absolutely not. Muscles grow stronger through use. And I would argue much the same with emotions. If you want to become more emotionally strong, then you actually have to use your emotions. And when I say use your emotions, I mean you actually have to deal with them. Now, if you are like a lot of guys, then that muscle is probably not only quite a small muscle, it's probably atrophied. It is a muscle that has never been used for a lot of people, or a muscle that's been rarely used. And so when it comes to building emotional strength, you don't want to just let your emotions run absolutely out of control. It's not just a matter of starting to express all of that anger that you have hidden within yourself for so long, or the hatred you might have towards someone, or the love you might have towards someone. There is a time and a place for these things, and learning the context in which to express those emotions is part of building emotional strength. So we build our emotional strength by starting slow and starting with the basics, which is listening to our emotions and actually identifying what they are. So I had this problem for quite some time. I grew up my entire life suffering with massive amounts of anxiety and had never even labeled it until I was about 22, and I read a book called The Solution to Social Anxiety because I thought it had some pretty good ideas that were kind of previewed in another book that I had read, and I was like, oh, that sounds pretty good, let me listen to that. And then I read through it and I listened to what the guy was saying about social anxiety, and I was like, oh, I have that. And then as he started to discuss more general anxiety, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So if you cannot really identify something, then what hope do you have of dealing with it? So what I would encourage you to do is just to start taking a mindful approach to your emotions. When you start to feel something rising up within you that you know is you getting into an emotional state, it doesn't really matter what the emotion is. I just want you to take a second to introspect and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Whether that might be anger or sadness or grief or something more nuanced like heartbreak, or the feeling of failure that you get after being rejected, something like that. I just want you to just sit with that feeling and know what it is. That is going to be your first step in building your emotional strength. Now, the step after that is learning the coping skills in order to better deal with your emotions as they arise. So for anger, it might be learning how to control your breath and body so that you can get yourself into a more calm state. If it is feelings of love and attraction towards someone, the way that you cope and deal with that is by being honest and going and speaking to that person about it. Maybe they feel the same way, maybe they don't, and then you get accepted or you get rejected, and you then go and figure out how to deal with the rejection. And I am not going to sit down in this video and tell you how to cope with every single emotion, because there are literally thousands of individual nuanced context needed emotions and emotional states, and this video would run on for days and days and days, and I don't even think I could upload that to YouTube even if I did have the stamina to do that. So what I want to encourage you to do is just take that first step in building up your emotional strength, which is in learning how to identify and actually feel your emotions, not just locking it off and shutting it down and bottling it up. I want you to actually allow yourself to feel what it is that you are feeling or that you will feel. And in so doing, you are starting down that journey of beginning to build up your emotional strength. And once you have a handle on exactly what your emotions are, then you can continue to learn how to cope with them in a way that works best for you. So I am going to have more videos on this channel over time on how to deal with more specific emotional states. I've got videos on how to deal with anger that you can check out on this channel. And I'll be doing more videos on various emotional states and how to deal with them as a man much later on. So if that's what you're interested in, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts and questions in the comment section down below, and make sure to leave a like on the video if you did enjoy it. But otherwise, thank you very much for making it all the way to the end of this video, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos here on this channel very soon.